Dwayne Wade in Miami. As we speak, they're getting ready to celebrate this man, one of the greatest cards in the history of the NBA, a three-time champion, a former league scoring champion, an Olympian. This man has been absolutely phenomenal as a player. As far as I'm concerned, he's going into the Hall of Fame as one of the top 5 shooting guards in the history of basketball. 7 straight seasons from 2005 to 2012, averaging a minimum of 24 games. We know what he did in terms of recruiting LeBron to South Beach. And Chris Bosh, by the way. And we know what he did for Shaq when he won his first title, just destroying the Dallas Mavericks in their last 4 games after being down 2-0. But more importantly than anything else, no matter how great he was as a guard, as a player, as a star in the NBA, it is nothing compared to the great individual that he was. It was an honor to cover him for for his entire career in the NBA. We're going to miss him. Thank you, D. Wade, for everything you've done.
I've always been the leader of the pack. I've always been the commander. I've always been the person in front. I've always wanted what everybody else didn't want. I want people to say that LeBron James did it his way, and now he's a legend.
I know it's going to be very challenging just because of the experience that the roster had at that point in time. I would never get comfortable with losing. The last few years, everybody's so accustomed to the losses that I'm just not accustomed to.
LeBron James is used to his seasons ending in June, as that's been the case in each of the prior 8 seasons before this year. However, LeBron played his final game of 2018-2019 in March for a Lakers team whose season ends tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers. Welcoming in our NBA reporter extraordinaire, Dave McMenamin, live from the Staples Center. Dave, let's get right into it. Ramona Shelburne, obviously doing an outstanding job, as she always does, reported that Magic Johnson and Luke Walton have not spoken for weeks. The report is basically saying that Luke Walton is gone, which is something that we've all been hearing about and we all know. We know that much about the guy that's about to be out as head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. What is it that we don't know that's been going on with Luke Walton and the Lakers over the last several months?
Well, Stephen, we have to think about the hypocrisy of the mixed messages, right? Right now, he doesn't hear from Magic Johnson. Earlier in the year, Rob Pelinka, the GM, was sitting in on coaches' meetings and involving himself at a granular level. That's not a normal practice that happens with a coaching staff and a front office. And then beyond that, we're going about a couple weeks now, but the team was flying back from Milwaukee to LA at the end of a 5-game road trip. Luke is on the plane with Jeannie Buss. She was on that trip with the team. And rather than saying or complaining that, this team has been so hard to manage or the roster was constructed poorly, Luke was focusing on the future. And he said to Jeannie, hey, I'm in my first year with this group. Magic and Pelinka are both young in these positions. Why not give us a chance to move forward together? It appears that message fell on deaf ears as the Lakers look at the coaching situation moving forward.
Luke Walton's record coming into the season finale against Portland tonight is 98-147. That's a 40% winning percentage. Obviously, that doesn't bode well for him. But is he on his way out the door because of that record, because of inefficiency? Or is it a situation where he was never Magic Johnson's guy to begin with, and he never really had a chance at staying on as head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers?
Yeah, Stephen, what happened to the coach of the year in the Eastern Conference last year, Dwayne Casey? He was let go, and they made a playoff run. And why was he let go? Ultimately, because he wasn't hired by Masai Ujiri in Toronto. And this happens time and time again in this league. Now, is it fair? Certainly not. Luke Walton's winning percentage, while not overwhelming, was an improvement. The 3 years prior to him arriving, the Lakers are winning around 26% of their games. And so he's done some things. You talk to people like Josh Hart and Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma and Lonzo Ball. All of them feel like they are better pros because they've played under Luke Walton. But this is a really tough job, and you're dealing with an aging superstar, 1-year contract veterans, and then that young core. I'm not sure if there's any coach who would have been cut out to get this team this year to the playoffs, but that was the goal of Magic Johnson in the front office, and someone, apparently, probably Luke Walton, will pay the price for not meeting that goal.
Who's going to pick the next coach, Magic Johnson or LeBron James, or a combination of the two?
I would hope, Stephen A., it's a combination of the two. Now, ultimately, the person who has to answer for whomever the coach is and however it goes has to be Magic Johnson, but it would be foolish not to consult LeBron in this process, because that's what you do when you have a player of his stature in terms of both the game now and the game all time. And listen, if you don't, you could just be setting yourself up for another headache. So I would hope that LeBron James is involved in the decision-making process. There should be a consensus, though. I mean, LeBron, Magic, Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss, I hope all of them feel good about whomever comes in to be the next coach, because you don't want to be in the same situation next year looking at the playoffs and wondering, man, did we make the wrong decision?
Dave, how much, before I let you go real quick, how much culpability does LeBron accept for what happened during this season? Obviously, they were a 4th seed before he went down Christmas Day with the groin injury and missed 17 consecutive games. They've never been the same since. We've seen dysfunction rake through this franchise in very public ways. Does he accept any culpability for it, or is he looking elsewhere in terms of that?
He hasn't run from it. It's not like he's saying it's all on him. Perhaps he's saying it's all on the injury that he suffered on Christmas Day, but that coincided with the injury to Rajon Rondo. And, of course, we know that the Lakers are limping into the postseason with no Lonzo Ball on the court, no Kyle Kuzma, no Josh Hart, no Brandon Ingram also. So the injuries really are the thing to blame here. But LeBron, of course, because you go back to last summer, Magic Johnson presented this plan to bring in playmakers around him rather than shooters. Well, LeBron had to sign off on that plan. And so there's a level of culpability there, and the level of culpability on just his body not being able to allow him to be on the court as much as they needed him to make it into the playoffs in a really tough Western Conference.
Well, I sincerely doubt that'll be the case next year. I expect him to come out big time next year and be a league MVP candidate again. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if Tyronn Lue is his coach in the process. Dave McMenamin, our NBA reporter extraordinaire. Great job as always, buddy. Thank you so much.
Is underway. Culver driving, spinning to the rim. Layup good. Texas Tech grabs the lead. Open three, DeAndre Hunter got it. And overtime beckons in the national championship. Hunter shooting a three. Smash it home. From ruin to redemption. The Virginia Cavaliers are the 2019 NCAA national champions.
Yay, yay, look who's in studio with yours truly, the one and only Ice Cube. How are you?
What's up, baby?
How are you, my man? It's good to see you. Let's get right into it, because you saw the national championship game last night. You saw Virginia win the national title over Texas Tech. Before I even get into it with you about the Lakers and beyond, what are your thoughts and where do you stand on college athletes being paid?
They definitely should be paid. You know, there's so much money in college sports. The money is just going up, and I think they should be paid. You know, I mean, they should have a path to make money. If I go to the college and I don't play sports, I can go make some money. So why, just because I'm on the team, am I being punished and not able to secure even a shoe deal or whatever and make some money? Why not?
It's interesting. I ask you that question because I think about you being a co-founder of the Big Three Basketball League, 3-on-3 Basketball League, which has been very, very successful thus far. Congratulations on that. And obviously, when you look at a lot of the guys that you have in the league, these are former players who still want to get paid a little bit, but more importantly, still want to play. First of all, how's the league going?
The league is great. You know, we've grown from 8 teams to 12. We're playing on 2 nights a week. Just signed a new deal with CBS, which is great. So the league is, taking a step in the right direction. And, the guys love the game. Right now the league, we're only on our 2nd year. Guys aren't getting paid with NBA salaries, nowhere close to that. But guys still love the game. They love the competition. And they know the league can grow. And the league is designed so they get paid as we grow. And it's just a great thing to see guys still have the passion to play this game at a high level.
Let me transition to the NBA game, because obviously you've been an NBA fan for many, many years. You're an LA native. And the big story out here is the Los Angeles Lakers. I recall you on TV months ago, not only being one of the few who wasn't salivating over the arrival of LeBron James, but you actually questioned whether or not this was going to be a successful venture. What are your thoughts on what you've seen thus far from the Lakers this year?
Well, I mean, this year is not what anybody expected on a lot of levels. I did. You know, I thought that this would be a year that LeBron could kind of take off. You know, he's been to the finals, what, 9 years in a row?
8 straight years in a row.
Okay, that's a lot of basketball. That's a lot of playing from the start of the season all the way to the last game. You know, so I figured this year he would want to take a little time off the playoffs. Our team isn't really built to win the championship, so, you know, who wants to go to the playoffs if you can't win the championship? So that's not how the Lakers are built. So that's fine. I thought he would, you know, having a personality like LeBron, it could hurt in some ways the youth. You know, we saw with this, you know, kind of trade debacle.
Involving Anthony Davis and how he was supposed to come before the trading deadline, but he ended up not getting here, and the team fragmented from that point forward.
Yeah, and people always talk about how it hurt the younger players, but it hurt the veteran players. Because now the veteran players realize, I'm not part of this championship thing we're trying to put together here. So they got to try not to get hurt, make sure they can land on another team. It's all kind of things that take away the effort, and that's kind of what happened.
Nobody has brought this up. I'm going to take credit for it. I brought it up this morning. I got to ask you this. Do you realize that the Los Angeles Lakers haven't been to the postseason since the passing of the great Dr. Jerry Buss? He passed away in February of 2013. That was the last time they've been to the playoffs. They haven't been to the playoffs in the 5 years since. This year is going to make 6. Do you see a pattern there in terms of, you know, more than a coincidence, rather?
No, because I think, you know, the Lakers have been trying to make moves to get them in the right position. We had some bad luck. You know, we had bad luck with Steve Nash. We had bad luck with Dwight Howard. And it wasn't like the Lakers wasn't making the right moves at the right times. Just didn't work out. That happens. But, you know, the Lakers now, I feel like, you know, we went 12 years between championships before. So I think, you know, it's a situation where we got to be patient. Who gives a damn about the playoffs if you can't win a championship?
Let me transition to the National Football League, because for those who don't know, you love the silver and black.
Yes.
You love the Raiders.
Yes.
Antonio
I'm
Brown.
the president of the Raider Nation.
There we go. Antonio Brown, the all-worldwide receiver, is making news for all the wrong reasons these days. Actually calling out his former teammate, Juju Smith-Schuster. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, you know, I don't think it's cool to do that, but, you know, he's a pirate now. What you expect?
Really? Is that simple?
It's
So you
that
don't mind him saying anything?
No, as long as he catch them balls and catch them passes and run them routes. And, you know, I believe a little fire is needed in a team. I don't believe, you know, everybody can do the Patriots formula and win. I think you got to have players that, you know, give you a little personality, and I think that's exactly what he does.
Before I let you get on out of here, your last thoughts about the Big Three. I want to go back to that. How you feeling about the future for the Big Three?
I feel great. You know, the league is on its way up. You know, we've added some big-time players, and we're going to own the summer again.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
As always.
Appreciate you.
Ice Cube, he likes to say it.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it too. There we go. I don't need to repeat that.
Cause I be on my game, yeah. Ballin' ain't a thing, yeah. Ballin' ain't a thing to me. Cause I be on my game, yeah. Ballin' ain't a thing, yeah. Ballin' ain't a thing to me.
So we sit here right now. The playoffs are on the way. How are you feeling about your team right now and your chances this year?
I feel good. I mean, we've had some adversity come. CJ went out for, 11, 12 games. Nurk out for the season. But I think it made, us picking up Rodney Hood and Enes Kanter that much more valuable. And, we've been able to find ways to get it done. And I think what we've gotten from so many different guys, stepping up and doing a little bit more than what they had done, is giving me more confidence in what we can sustain. I think we can sustain what we're doing.
I'm looking at you right now. You're averaging nearly 26 a game, 7 assists a game. Obviously, everybody knows how big time you are, but they look back to last season and what happened against New Orleans in the postseason. Y'all got swept. Talk to me about what this last year has been like for you personally, coming off that kind of playoff loss last season.
It was a struggle. we got the 3 seed. You know, it was our first time since I've been in the league having home court, and going into the playoffs, we was excited. Like, man, we got action. You know, we can do something. And you go into the first round, you get swept. Me being the main guy on the team, I didn't play well. So, I mean, I knew that everybody was gonna come down on me. I knew it was gonna come on me. And I think one of the good things about it is I know I can handle it.
When we talk about league MVP candidates, we talk about Giannis in Milwaukee, Greek Freak. We obviously talk about James Harden. We've talked about LeBron before he went down, got injured. Not only do you look at your numbers and see 26-7, you see a 50-win season by the Portland Trail Blazers. Nurkic has gone down, CJ has gone down. And if you look at your career numbers, they're not just damn good numbers, they're actual Hall of Fame numbers. So have we reached a point where it's time for us to start talking about Damian Lillard in terms of recognizing the fact that we haven't given you enough credit? Do you think about things like that at all?
I used to a lot more. Now I look at it and, you know, I talk to, you know, one of our coaches on our staff, one of our older coaches, Dale Osborne. And sometimes me and him, like after practice, I'll be shooting and we'll sit there for an hour and we'll talk. And I'll be like, man, like when I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, you know, Giannis, rightfully so. Like he having a great season, the #1 team in the league. James, obviously, what he's doing is unbelievable, averaging 36. Like, nobody did that since Jordan, I don't think. So, like, they getting the credit and the recognition that they deserve, but I always ask him, like, why? Like, we winning games. I'm not sitting out games for rest and all this other stuff. I'm showing up every night. I don't make up no excuses and all this stuff. I just go get the job done, and I produce night after night after night after night, year after year after year. And so it's just not viewed the same as when somebody else is doing it. And
what conclusion did you come to as to why that is? Why do you think that's the case?
I'm really not sure. I mean, people always say, man, were you playing in Portland? And, you know, all this other stuff, but I'm not the only person that's producing in a small market.
Knowing you the way that I do, one would think the player in your position would say, all right, I'm in a small market. So a New York or LA, like somebody like me constantly brings up, and to your credit, you always say, stop. I love Portland, I love Portland. Yeah. You don't ever mention, you've never demanded a trade. You've never thought about moving on like so many of these other marquee players have talked about moving on from their respective teams to sort of join one another. Why haven't you ever done that or thought about doing that?
I mean, for me, I love what my situation is. You know, I don't take my position for granted. I know that, you know, this is the organization that drafted me. They've always done right by me. And just the investment into the community that I play for, you know, the relationships that I've built, and, you know, what we have, the environment that we've created, I'm just hooked to that. You know, I'm committed to that. And it's, for me, just my teammates, the relationships, my coaches, our training staff. Like, when we go to work every day, it's a great time. And, you know, I would hate to, I guess, make a decision based off what everybody else thinks I should do, and then I go somewhere else and you can't have that environment back. You know, you can't turn back. So it's like, I value that, you know, to that high of a level, to where it's like, man, you know what, I'm willing to live with whatever result I get out of, you know, being committed to, you know, what we've created.
So with that being said, Damian Lillard is one of those dudes that's in position to sign one of those big-time max deals this summer. Is it safe to say you ain't thinking about going anywhere else?
Why would I be? I mean, I don't even think it makes sense at this point, especially, like I said, when the relationship with me and the Trailblazers has been what it's been, how I feel about the people that I work with every day, and then that type of opportunity, that type of money. You know, I think it's so many other things you got to take into consideration. Like, I got a kid, I got a family, like, I got people that's, you know, not dependent on me, but people whose lives I can change. You know, I can make a difference in the place I grew up. You know, it's a lot of things that can be changed or can be impacted based on, you know, my one decision.
You got players recruiting to their respective franchises. You trying to recruit anybody to Portland?
I mean,
Are you that kind of guy that you get on the phone, pick up the phone, try to get people to come to Portland?
I mean, I'll say this, I watch pretty much every game. Like, if it's a game day for us, I'm getting to the arena early and I'm watching games on the screens. There's 5 games on or whatever. After the game, I go watch other games. If we're not playing, I'm on League Pass flipping through every game. So I'm very aware of a lot of players in the league, you know, even guys that aren't stars or main guys on teams. So I think everybody watches and like, okay, I really like what that guy can do. But as far as the stars, when guys are free agents, the people that I like, I'm definitely gonna have a conversation with them. I don't know if I would call it recruiting, but it's like, man, what's up, you know?
Do you feel that you're one of those guys, those elite guys in this league at this point that guys should clamor to play with?
I think so. I mean, I would say that I'm one of those guys that they should want to be on the team with, because I don't compete with my teammates, and I'm not jealous. I'm trying to win, and I'm going to do what I do. You know, I know what type of impact I know how to have on people and on situations. So, anytime I think you can pair with somebody like that, why not?
Last question for you. What should we expect from you and the Portland Trailblazers this postseason? We got Houston there. We got Golden State trying to three-peat. Yeah. Okay, Utah, shoot. Playoffs beginning of the day, you'd be facing them in the first round.
The West is a war, man. Like, people talk about, first round exits and stuff like that, but the truth about the West is it's so tough now that that's not the worst thing in the world, you know, because it could be a 1-8 and you can get beat. 2-7, you can get the 2 seed can get beat because it's, teams are that good in the West. So obviously it might be a little bit of a disappointment because nobody wants to get to the playoffs and get eliminated first round, but it's a greater possibility now than it has been in the past, for that to happen because teams are so good. But we're gonna come out and we're gonna come correct. We're gonna put our best foot forward, and especially after last season, we're ready to come out and get another chance.
I know you believe in your teammates. Yourself, you believe in yourself. Yeah. Is the mission extra now because of what happened last year?
I mean, it gives you that, I don't know, it makes you a little bit anxious, like to get back. Like, as soon as we got swept, I was like, I just got to make sure I keep my mind right in the regular season and make sure we get back so we can do it. I didn't want to look too far into the playoffs like right away because then we mess around and go out there and not play well enough to get there. So just anxious, man. Just couldn't wait to get back so we can go out there and redeem ourselves.
I'm not betting against 27 a game. I'm not doing it.
For sure.
You heard him, All-NBA Damian Lillard. Think about that for a second. According to BPI, there's an 81% chance Lillard and the Blazers will get the Utah Jazz in round 1. But the Spurs, the Thunder, they're both also still in play. The Blazers can still be the 3, 4, or 5 seed based on the results of the final 2 days of the season. And they'll clinch home court in the first round with one more win. They play the Lakers tonight, I'll remind y'all. It's quite a day in Boston for Red Sox fans. Here's Carl Ravitch.